This episode of the podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Visit patreon.com/lightscameranonsense to help support your favorite new movie podcasts. Now, let's roll that reel.
But I ended up powering through them because
You
I was like,
sprinted through it.
I don't
I was
have
watching.
I don't have anyone to bounce off of.
I was watching it back. I was like, damn, he is making short time.
Yeah, I
like
had plenty of things to talk about, and I think I should have kept them written down. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Nonsense, where we give you all the latest movie magic you may have missed. I'm Nick, Fish Daddy Simmons.
Ooh. And I'm Zach. I wasn't here before, but I'm back.
You fucking son of a bitch. I'm all alone. There's no one here to fight me. I forgot the lyrics. No one here to fight me?
No one here to
love me.
No.
I don't know.
Whatever.
This is already a train wreck, and I'm glad that you're back.
My brain it's gonna be interesting. I don't know how much better it is gonna be with me back because my brain is just all mush.
That's okay.
For the last 2 or 3 weeks of moving.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that probably. That'll intricately interlace into some sort of subject that we'll talk about. But on Sunday, June 20th, 2021, let's dive into the preview, Zach. But before we do that, hey, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the show early on our Patreon at patreon.com/lightscameranonsense by donating for as low as $1 a month, and I get it. Zach, I talked about this last week. It's so low, that price, for getting it just a day early, because you're anticipating the show so much. For as low as $1 a month, you can sign up on our Patreon at patreon.com/lightscameranonsense, get the episode a day early in video form, or you can just wait another day, watch it on YouTube for free. Totally understand, as long as you subscribe and hit the like button and hit the bell notification every time so that you can get notified whenever the new episode is up live for everyone. And if you just hate looking at our faces because we're so unattractive, Zach, I'm sorry. I had to throw you under the bus.
No, it's true. It's true.
Oh, this just became really sad. It was a joke, but he made it real. Then you could just listen to us in audio form on every audio platform. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, any podcast service. Trust me, I've looked everywhere. We are everywhere. Always watching. But let's move into the preview, Zach.
Cool.
Zach, what have you been watching?
So yeah, I offhandedly mentioned it, and I think you brought it up on your solo episode that for the last couple of weeks I've been moving. That's been a process. I'm still not done. There's just crap everywhere, and I am exhausted 24/7. It feels like I took a vacation, like PTO, to do the move, right? It does not feel like a vacation. This has been the most exhausting vacation ever.
You tired, bud? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm really tired. I slept till noon today, and I'm still tired.
Same here, but significantly less.
Anyway, because of all that, you might have expected me to come back with like a cavalcade of things, like, oh, I've watched so many things in my off time. No, I've watched about as much as I would have on a normal non-moving month.
That's great.
In the last couple of weeks. So first up, I watched Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It.
All right.
You kind of talked about this last week on your episode, and I think you hit all the bits that I think really stuck out to me. It is probably I don't want to say the worst, but it's the least good Conjuring movie in terms of the title. The main
3
line movies,
right?
And it's interesting because it's kind of between a rock and a hard place, right? With these Conjuring movies and really just horror movies in general. The longer you go on, the more diminishing returns you have. So if you were to do the same thing, i.e., Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, over and over and over again, what was once good then becomes stale, and you're like, this
Hollywood.
is not...
It's Hollywood squeezing a horror franchise dry again.
I mean, hell, you just talked about Saw not too long ago, the Spiral movie. And yeah, that is a grade A example of just doing the same thing over and over and over again,
Nothing new.
and not getting anything really back in return. If not, just like even getting worse as time goes on, because there's one thing to say like, oh well, it's the same thing, so it's still technically the same quality as what came before it, but it's just the same, as opposed to like, oh, it's the same thing, but it's also worse.
Yeah, it's when the bar is set so high and all you have is either a plateau of quality or a drop. It's like, Hollywood, what are you doing? Like, obviously no one is clamoring for, I mean, people love the Conjuring movies. That's why we have a third one and why we have a universe. But at the same time, if you know you're not going to get the same returns as the first or second one, or even the first Annabelle, then what are you doing? Move on to something else.
So I think actually that's what leads into Conjuring 3.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same as the last two movies. It's actually quite a bit different. Instead of just a straight up horror movie, it's more of a mystery thriller, almost kind of not procedural, but cop drama almost, where you have your main characters trying to track down the source of this curse or whatever that's afflicting the main character, or the main haunted person anyway.
Yeah.
As opposed to like just straight up demonic possession, haunted house, whatever the first two movies were. So I like, and on the one hand, like, yes, it is lesser than the first two that came before it, but on the other hand, I can see why they would want to mix it up a little bit and do something a little different. It's why I felt the way I did about, oh man, which was the one? It was Curse of La Llorona and
The Nun and Annabelle trilogy.
Was there another one? Was Curse the one I was talking about with all the other shit that kept coming out?
Are you talking about Insidious?
No. Hold on. I gotta look.
So there's the Curse of La Llorona, The Nun, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, the Conjuring 3 movies, and then Insidious 1 and 2. There was Insidious 3? I forgot there was
Insidious
3.
Isn't part of.
No, but I mean,
just in general.
Just in general. Although, wasn't The Nun featured in an Insidious movie?
I don't think so.
Oh. I don't know.
Granted, I didn't watch the third Insidious.
I haven't either. Actually, I think there's 4. Isn't there 4
there
Insidious
is,
movies? Yeah. Because there was Insidious: The Last Key.
Last Key, yes.
Yeah. At least it wasn't
I know what I'm thinking of. So, it's why I felt the way I did about Annabelle Comes Home, which sets itself up as another Annabelle movie, but then in reality is kind of like this weird MCU sort of like expanding universe movie where you have like all these different horror things coming out of the basement, and like you got fucking werewolves running around and shit. So like Annabelle Comes Home, to me, because it's not, I mean, one, the first two Annabelle movies are not very good anyway. So if you're going to do something different, then that is a positive in my mind. And while it's kind of the inverse in this scenario with The Conjuring, where the third movie is, again, the lesser of the trilogy, it is doing something different, which I can appreciate, so it's a decent watch. I think you mentioned you were never really scared, or you never felt like tense or anything.
I was spooked like once or twice, but it was more like a shock value kind of thing.
Yeah, I always kind of felt like oh man, like I wonder what's gonna happen, and then like, but really it was immediately followed up with like, oh, he's gonna kill himself, maybe. I don't know. So it telegraphs a lot of its stuff. I don't think like it's really that difficult to kind of figure out what's going on before the end scene. It's so the basic setup is that they're trying to track down like the inverse of them, whereas they're like fighting against evil. There's another
it's a tangible
person
threat, and I think that's what makes it less scary, is that they know that you can actually physically stop this person from causing evil to happen.
Right. So yeah, all that said, decent watch, fine use of my time, but I probably, if I was gonna do another Conjuring watch, I wouldn't feel it necessary to watch the third one.
Yeah.
Along with the other two. So take what you can get.
And you watched it at home. You didn't watch it in theaters. So
yes,
because
correct.
It's on HBO Max.
You're right. Everything I'm going to be talking. The fact that I was able to watch 3 things at all is in my mind an amazement. There's no way in hell I was going to find time to go to a movie theater.
That's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, I watched that, and then the next thing I watched the first 2 episodes of Loki.
Oh, okay, cool, yay! We get to talk about Loki.
Yeah, we get to talk about Loki.
Yay!
Because we enjoy it. It's a fun show.
It's another Marvel show that we're gonna get caught up in every week. So
yeah.
My only thing is that it's now a Wednesday release.
Yeah, so that kind of threw me too. I was we sat down, watched the first 2 episodes. And after that, I think we watched we had finished them the day after the second one had dropped.
Right.
So we watched it on that Thursday. And so I was like, oh, well, we get a new one tomorrow. That'll be cool. We don't really have to wait that long. In case he was like, no, they come out Wednesday. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The shit? The hell, Disney?
I don't know. It makes no sense why they
literally everything else is coming out on Fridays. What are you doing?
It would make it so much easier because we lose all momentum talking about this. Because by the time we're gonna start talking about it, I assume every week, because it's one of those new Marvel shows where it's like, how does this affect the universe? And we love the characters and they're coming back and cameos and stuff. By the time it gets to our podcast, it's like everyone's already talked about it a million times. So
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That's the
tagline.
It's the tagline of our podcast.
Whatever. So basic premise of Loki. I assume most of anyone who's interested in watching it probably knows the setup, but just in case. So in the middle of Endgame, you have the 2012 New York scene with them traveling back to get the Tesseract. They drop it. The Loki from 2012 picks up the Tesseract and time travels away, or goes away.
Yeah, it's Space Stone, not the Time Stone.
Yeah,
he travels to the Gobi Desert or whatever.
Displaces into a desert, yes, and then immediately is met by the TVA, or the Time Variance Authority, who basically are the overseers of the sacred timeline. Anyone who veers off that timeline or does something that would endanger its consistency, they have to correct, which basically means disintegrating. One thing leads to another, and Loki basically becomes part of that agency to track down a other variant who is causing issues within the sacred timeline.
Right. Do we want to go ahead and spoil episode 2?
I'd wait, because I'm not even sure what we would what we would say for episode 2 might end up being something completely different, or there's still quite a few variables there.
Okay.
So I would just hold off on that. We don't have to wait for long. I don't think it's only a 6 episode
show,
series, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. But you got Owen Wilson playing this
Mobius M. Mobius.
Yes, who
is his full name.
Like a confidant / tutor, or
he's playing Owen Wilson. All right,
it's just Owen Wilson who's a time cop is all it is.
Exactly.
But he's basically mentoring Loki and kind of like trying to make him be a better person by helping him out with their troubles. And yeah, a lot of good laughs, good setups and payoffs.
He's such a good casting for that character. Like,
he is
far out of left field. Like, let's choose Owen Wilson to play this character that no one's seen Owen Wilson in like a big budget property in like a long while, and he's showing up in this Marvel TV show, and you're like, holy shit, it's Owen Wilson, and holy shit, he's fantastic because he's charismatic as hell, and his back and forth. What do you call that? His rapport with Tom Hiddleston's Loki is fantastic, because I want them to be best friends and travel through time together as best friends.
Yeah. And at one point, hopefully, he'll get a jet ski.
Yes, Chekov's jet ski, by the way, because I feel like they bring that up, and it's brought up in two different scenes.
It will come up again.
It shows up where Loki's looking at Owen Wilson. I'm going to call him Owen Wilson because I like his name. Owen Wilson's magazine on his desk while he's talking to like a cartoon penny. Or no, clock, I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you know who did the voice for that?
Tara Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I first heard it when he's standing in line. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Tara Strong.
Yeah. Oh, I said Tara. Yeah, Tara Strong. Who voices the cartoon Harley Quinn and has voiced so many cartoon characters.
Yeah, I mean, Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, you've heard her voice in some
You've heard her voice at some point.
But he's looking at the magazine at his desk, and he's like, "Oh, jet skis. Well, why do you have that jet ski magazine?" He asks him later. He's like, I just like looking at jet skis. It's simple, you know?
No, it's a little bit more than that. He sees the jet ski as like the epitome of creation.
Of human technology.
Yeah. the matching of form and efficiency or something like that.
Exactly. So we'll definitely see a jet. If we do not see one of the characters riding a jet ski at one point or another in this show, I'm going to be severely disappointed.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah. I don't think you have to worry about that. I think it's they definitely set that up for some payoff down the line. Yeah, and everybody, when there's more sincere scenes and more emotional scenes going on too, like everybody's fantastic in those too. It's not just a one-trick pony. I said this in our chat that only 2 episodes in, and unless they do something really, really bad at the end, which I don't think is going to happen, I gotta say already, this is the best MCU show, bar none. Like, I'm just enjoying it so much. It's not short like WandaVision. Doesn't like I feel like I get enough on each episode with them being an hour. And, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, for all I liked about it, they did have some serious issues. One of them being pacing. And there are parts of that show that could be dry or drag, a little bit. And there is not a single moment in at least these last 2 episodes. Maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, so to speak.
How are you going to drive that cart? It's in front of the horse. No.
Pointing to the stands when I should, be, just hitting it into the.
Your metaphors are out of sight. I gotta say this episode. Anyway, my biggest worry about this show is that we're gonna end up with a predictable ending. Like, we're gonna watch the first 5 episodes, get halfway through the final episode, and start to like, okay, I already know what's gonna happen, and it's gonna be like, okay, it's just another either magic fight or just a subversion.
This is a fair criticism or expectation too, because that's how WandaVision went. It had a very strong start, and then by the end of it, it's just more flying, fighting, laser beams.
Marvel stuff. Cool. I will say that I'm liking the thorough line, and I feel like maybe I'm not the only one who's noticed it, because I've seen it all on TikTok and YouTube and online forums, but there's definitely the big narrative thread for all of Phase 4, which is legacy and coming to grips with how you are perceived when you are no longer there or when you are gone. And also, multiverse stuff has always been the key for this. Yeah. So I love that every single property, even though it's managed and directed and written by different people, that you can kind of see, like through the fog, the spider web of how every single thing is connected, whether or not the properties are crossing over or the characters are crossing over. You're seeing kind of like the roadmap, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see where this is going. Although it could still literally go anywhere else because the possibilities are endless. So I like that. That's what I like about this show and WandaVision, and even I see Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I mean, it's the same thing by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So far, it's been 3 for 3 for me as well. 3 for 3.
Yeah. I mean, I've liked them all. There's just been some kind of niggling issues with the previous 2. So far, I would knock on wood, but I don't want to blow out the mic. My hand is wood. I have a wood hand. So far I haven't hit anything like that with Loki. But I guess there's time to fail.
There's plenty of time to fail. We've got legitimately, like, give or take a few minutes, but like 4 hours worth of content to go through. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Yep. I'm interested to see where it goes. It definitely makes me want to read some of the Loki-centered comics, because I know that there's a lot of theories going on the internet that are using Loki centered comics as like predictions for how this show is going to go. Yeah, and I'm liking a lot of the theories, so I kind of want to go out and read those, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would just say be careful. We all fell into that trap in WandaVision, right?
Well, I didn't fall into the WandaVision comics trap, if that's what you're saying.
I just meant like people obviously had a big, Mephisto.
No, not like taking the theories as fact and like setting my expectations for that. No, I'm not an idiot. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be influences from the comics, and if you're interested in that, go for it.
I will. Maybe if I got time.
So yeah, right. Time is really the sticking point. The last thing I watched just released. I watched Luca on Disney Plus. See, I figured you would have watched everything I watched.
New releases for podcasts. All right, thank you, Google.
Yeah. So what did you think? I actually really enjoyed it. I've seen some kind of ho-hum opinions on it, like it doesn't really do anything new. There's not a whole lot different going on there that you wouldn't have seen elsewhere, even in Disney or Pixar movies, which is true. It's pretty standard fare. Underwater boy doesn't want to be confined to the underwater, so he decides to go above the water, and there's adventures with new friends. And
I mean, it's Little Mermaid without the romance aspect.
Yeah. Well, kind of. No, not so many. Like, I'll steal your voice.
But the skeleton is very much Little Mermaid-esque. The only thing, I was more in the middle. Like, I don't love it, I don't hate it. Like, obviously, and I say this every single time we bring up an animated movie, especially Disney Pixar movies. But I definitely have this barrier of Disney Pixar movies are not necessarily a big draw for me anymore as someone who watches a lot of content. But I went into it watching it with literally zero expectations, and I came out of it going, well, that's pretty fun. I don't know if I'll remember it a few months from now, but it's going to be a lot like how Onward affected me. In that it was very much like...
Ooh, damn, that is, for me, that is a negative. Yikes.
It's just like I'm not going to remember this movie whether or not it was impactful on me or not. I still enjoyed the story. I thought it was very simple and very, I'll use the metaphor, fuck it, shallow for what it is. And that's not like a negative draw from the movie itself, because I still think it tells the story that it wants to tell.
It's a very basic narrative outline.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything like a big twist or anything. I was just in it for like the little chuckles here and there and the great animation. So, and that's what I got. So, I don't know what else you want from me, Pixar.
Well, for me, I wasn't like I lean more towards I liked it on the spectrum, way more than Onward. That's for sure. I think this is probably more kind of on the soul spectrum.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much Raya, because Raya was awesome.
It's so hard to discern the... I mean, like, what's funny for me... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pull away from you, but what's funny for me is that the only way I can differentiate between Disney movies and Pixar movies right now is that Disney movies are charging you $30 and Pixar movies are being released...
Are coming out free.
Are coming out for free. Yeah, essentially, if you have Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And, like, not even taking into consideration, like, movie theaters, but, like if I'm going to be watching this movie, am I having to pay extra money, or am I going to have to... or am I just able to watch it day one? And so I know which one is which, because Pixar is cool, bro. And Disney is like, we want money. And they still release it in theaters anyway, so...
Yeah. But all that being said, I really enjoyed it. I think there's some like really beautiful scenes in this, and just the general like aesthetic of it. It's kind of got like this almost Ghibli-esque feel
Yeah.
to it.
I got very
This,
Ponyo
like,
vibes.
pastoral Italian coastal city, something you would see in Porco Rosso or something like that.
Yeah.
And the music is a fucking plus. This score is phenomenal.
Let me actually look up who that was. I actually think the guy who was the composer has it. Let me look it up actually, if you want to keep going.
So score great, beautiful visuals, and yeah, it is a basic narrative, but there's a lot of heart in there too. The performances of all your leads are like they really get to the heart of their character, and everything feels very deliberate in how they're delivering those lines. And yeah, it's just a nice, heartwarming story about friendship, acceptance, love after not having love or being abandoned.
Dreams, following your dreams.
Following your dreams. Maybe not in the parental aspect. Allowing your children to grow into their own person, not keeping them chained down just for their safety. But yeah, I just basic premise, but I really liked it. All the individual parts I think were more than their sum.
Dan Romer
did the music.
Yeah, he's set to do the music for No Time to Die, which is great.
Oh.
But he also was a music producer for Shawn Mendes, Jukebox the Ghost, Christina Aguilera. But he's collaborated a lot with Cary Joji Fukunaga, which lines up with the James Bond thing. But also has been a prolific music composer. So if you want to find his music, I guarantee you it's probably on Spotify, if not like Last.fm or Pandora. But
yeah, I mean,
Dan
like
Romer.
every single track or piece of score that
it sets the mood
in there,
perfectly.
It is so on point. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Along with the visuals. Yeah, so I again, like you said, I wasn't expecting a whole lot going in, but I think it met those expectations and probably surpassed mine a little bit, just because I think going into it, I probably thought it was going to be a bit more standard fare, or at least I would feel similarly to the way you do, where it was like, that was fine, and, but I would absolutely watch this again. It's probably in one of my top underappreciated movies, of Disney Pixar.
I could definitely see it like being either in the middle of people's lists for like if they had to rank every Disney Pixar movie. Yeah, it would definitely be in the middle of somebody's list, if not higher than a lot of their.
Yeah. I don't think it would rank low on. I mean, unless you're just kind of like a heartless bastard, which I guess is fine.
Because
enjoy your life.
It's a wholesome movie. So I mean, you don't really have anything to complain about.
Exactly.
Unless you hate Italians.
Yeah, then you have other issues, and I kind of don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, how can you? All right. Let's just avoid that. Let's just avoid that conversation.
Let's avoid that conversation I brought up.
Entirely. Well, I'm sorry.
But that is it for me. Nick, what did you watch?
Luca. No, I've just been watching a lot of animated stuff. I don't have a lot to add. You are actually the one who is carrying the show this week.
Oh, boy.
I started watching The Bad Batch. I only watched the first episode.
Okay.
Although, because I forgot that it was an hour and a half-ish, a little bit less.
So the opening one is, every other one is like 20 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got the ball rolling. I got it started. Yeah. So
how are you feeling about it so far?
Pretty good. I don't know how I feel about the little girl character just yet. I get that
she grows on you. She grows on you. I will say, but if you go back to my initial impression of that episode, I think I did an initial impression either of just that one or the first two. I don't recall. But one of my caveats was I'm not quite entirely sold on that, a lot of her delivery on that.
Yeah. It definitely
she gets better though.
I was gonna say there is a distinct audio quality, and I know that if you are looking out for it, you'll notice it in a lot of media, especially animated media that came out the beginning of this year, along with stuff that will continuously be released this year. Is that a lot of stuff was recorded at home in 2020, and so a lot of their dialogue may or may. I'm not saying that that's the case for this actress, but that may be the case because I noticed a different audio quality compared to. Help me out with the voice actor's name that does all the clones. Wow.
Shit.
Wow, you're not a fan, are you?
Guess not.
Not a Clone Wars fan.
Hold on.
I want to say D. That's not D. Bradley Baker.
Yeah, I think you're right. D. Bradley Baker.
Holy shit! I just pulled that out of thin air, man. That's fantastic. Keep looking it up. Sure. Just yeah. But her audio quality sounds a little bit ADR-ish. It is? Okay, perfect. Yes. D. Bradley Baker. I'm the better fan. And I'm not even following along week by week. But I've got the ball rolling. I'm going to start watching, and then I guess we'll keep up to date with it because it's only about halfway through the season, isn't it? For the show?
No, it's like a third through the season.
So
this is what I was going to say. Is I've actually taken a break from Bad Batch. I haven't watched like the last 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh. Wow.
Because I discovered that the season is going to be like 21 or 24 episodes long.
I thought it was only going to be like 14.
No. It's like it's one of those situations where I kind of want to like let a batch of episodes build up, maybe like 4 episodes build up, and then I can watch them all back to back, and then just keep that train rolling. I'm
seeing 14 episodes.
Oh, really? I could have sworn I just looked it up like the other day because that's why I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll take a break from this a little bit.
I got it. 16.
Okay.
Is what Google is telling me.
All right. That's not as much, but it's it's kind of still in that range.
But we are technically halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So I was right. Yet again. I just see this is when you're not here and I have to record the podcast on my own, I have no validation for my smartness, for my SMRT-ness. So I feel like this is very cathartic, just bringing all of this feeling back.
I'm very glad that my whole purpose of being here is to make you feel good about yourself.
Thank you. That's what this whole podcast has been about, honestly. From day one, it's just validation for me.
The build up Nick show.
Yeah, I need it. It's like sweet honey. Did you have anything else to add? I mean, obviously, you just haven't been keeping up with it because you've been busy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have anything to add off the back of the last time I updated on my progress with it.
I mean, it's been every episode. We mentioned Bad Batch except for last week's.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'll keep watching it. It does give me that good Clone Wars fix that I had talked about missing after having to go through all of the Clone Wars with all the slog episodes included.
Yeah, you can catch our reviews for that on the podcast.
Bad Batch is mostly good. Like I don't think I've really seen anything yet that to me was like, yeah, that was a kind of a meh episode. Most of them or all of them have been good to great. That being said, again, I am behind like 3 or so episodes, so maybe it shits the bed somewhere in there. I don't know. But so far, so good.
I will say, just because I've only watched the first episode, that it's very cinematic, but I feel like they definitely had that feeling for that little bit longer episode, which was, of course,
so that's actually one of the big positives for the show is that is not just for that episode. That is a season wide thing. It's always.
It doesn't feel like a kid show. It feels like I'm watching just an animated movie, not like the Star Wars Clone Wars animated movie, but like a better updated version of it.
Well, the later seasons of the Clone Wars especially were veering into that, this kind of, it is an animated medium, but it's not necessarily a kid's show. It's older teens to adult show, because you got all this political intrigue and shit going on. But anyway, I completely lost where I was.
I can talk about the next thing that I've been watching.
Yeah, please do, because my head has just imploded.
You okay, man?
Yeah. It's just an ongoing thing. My head will just explode occasionally.
The next thing that I've been watching has been the Castlevania animated show on Netflix.
Okay.
I don't know if I've mentioned that. I feel like I did mention that on the last episode you were on, but I've been watching that, and the animation for that is phenomenal. It's, I think Adi Shankar is the main producer for that, but I don't know if you've ever played the games. Do you have any like background in the Castlevania games?
A little bit, not a whole lot, not so much that I would consider myself a authority on it by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I had watched the first 2 seasons of Castlevania, and they were really great. If I remember correctly, there's kind of this melding. It's not just a straight retelling of the games.
No,
they start to meld different ones together to kind of create something new.
They're definitely using the lore from the games while also integrating stories from the games themselves.
Timelines are kind of converging and
yes and no. I know that they've replaced some characters with different characters just for continuity's sake, because I know that they've already announced that they're making a spin-off following Richter's game, which takes place like 300 years later. Because if you're not familiar with the Castlevania games, it's a series of dungeon crawlers. It's a super old franchise, so it's obviously from the SNES, the NES, Genesis, I think.
Depends on the.
They're
all
version.
Over the place.
They're
literally
all
all over the place.
So, you're basically a character who's going around and you have to go kill Dracula. It's very tale as old as time kind of thing. But you're defeating monsters along the way. But this show is I can't remember which studio animates it, but it follows the story of one of the main characters from the games, Trevor Belmont, as he gets kind of dragged into this story of
begrudgingly pulled into
this war against Dracula and the story that happens after that. Like I honestly thought that they were going to drag out the story of Dracula being in the show for many more seasons, but no, they continue on, and I'm halfway through season 3, and it's the animation is fantastic. I love the world building. I'm learning stuff about this world, and I kind of want to go out and play the games that this series is based on, which is ultimately the underlying point of the show.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to support Konami, but that's a whole other thing.
Well, here's the thing. While yes, the jaded answer to why is this a thing is always going to be to support the original thing and drive sales.
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of early Castlevania, there's not really a story. It's, as you said, go kill Dracula.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
NES, SNES, you didn't get a lot of stories in those games.
You didn't really get to a point where it was like, oh man, there's like an actual narrative here until Symphony of the Night. Maybe a little bit earlier than that, but that was when it really started going all like, for lack of a better term, anime on you.
Yeah.
And just cascading all around. But before that, Castlevania 1 through Super Castlevania 4 and, a couple of the Game Boy games, Dracula X and shit like that. It's not really a whole lot there. So in that respect, the show actually does a pretty decent service in that it's applying some extra stuff to that very baseline. Obviously you can't really do a whole lot with the NES, hardware back in the day.
No, so I mean, if you've played any NES games, you know the limitations of those games. But I will say that even if you're not a fan of the games, you can watch this show and still enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, and in a roundabout way, what I was trying to say is that it does what a good adaptation should, and it should add to the original. It should add some context, add something extra, add something that it makes not only adds value to the original thing, but makes itself its own thing.
Yeah.
So people will actively want to seek that out just for, the pleasure of watching that.
Yeah.
As opposed to like supplementary material
or shot for shot kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is what you see with a lot of adaptations for more recent games. When my biggest worry is seeing any adaptation for a video game on the horizon and realizing that the studios behind this or the creative talent behind this may just be like a surface level.
It's a money grab.
It's a money grab for the studio, but like even the creative team behind it, they may be the people who are like, oh, the only way I can adapt this is to literally adapt it shot for shot, like take exact cutscenes from the game. And I mean, that's what we got with the early 2000s to like early 2010s, where we were getting adaptations for games out the ass. I mean, look at the Resident Evil franchise. Look at the Silent Hill franchise. And I'm talking about the movies that they're based on. It's fucking Super Mario Brothers. I mean, any video game adaptation, even the Detective Pikachu and the Sonic
But then
movies.
you got like that weird shit. Detective Pikachu, I'll give you, because that one is, pretty on par with its material that it's pulling from. But for that early shit, I mean, Resident Evil included, they did draw from it, but then they just kind of did what Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Stupid bitch.
And even more recently with Monster Hunter, like the only reason that Monster Hunter movie was approved was because Monster Hunter World made millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. It literally saved Capcom from fucking going bankrupt. Yeah. So they're like, well, we need to capitalize on this. Let's get the one guy who's been profitable in the video game movie adaptation industry and just slap him on there.
Because you're getting those people, you do get, in some instances, that one-to-one shot remake sort of thing. But I think if you actually had that in your majority of video game movies or whatever, most people would actually be like, good, that's exactly what I fucking wanted. Don't do fucking Super Mario Bros. In a weird ass, like, fucking run down post-apocalyptic city with
Don't do your own creative take, but
Doug Bowser over in the corner there with this fucking turtleneck shit.
Okay, I feel like you're spiraling into something else.
I'm just saying, like the idea that the early video game movies were just the one-to-ones, I think what it actually turns into is like, we don't know shit about this thing, so just fucking do whatever.
Yeah,
just turn it into whatever.
Yeah,
as long as it makes us money.
So I mean, even
it doesn't.
I think you're absolutely right. There's a definite template for what would make a movie great, and it's not like a word for word what you need to do in order to translate it into a good movie, but it's it's the thought process and it's the love behind the franchise. Actually, it's not even the love behind the franchise, because that's screwed over directors in the past. We've had the Assassin's Creed movie was made as a labor of love from the director, but that ended up being a not good movie. So I mean, you have to literally have the entire creative team be a fan of the franchise, and people who are involved in said franchise to be looking over their shoulders saying, that's not what that character would do. That's why a lot of people are really expecting great things from the Last of Us adaptation, is because you have Neil Druckmann, the director of the first game and the co-director of the second game, who's heavily involved in the adaptation of that. And you have the creative team behind it who are big, huge fans of it. And you have the money behind it with HBO, just chucking money at whatever will become the new franchise. The big new franchise like Game of Thrones, whatever.
I think the sweet spot is generally like, you have someone who loves the thing they're working on, but they're not afraid to kind of play with it. You know, like they want to play with it. They don't want to just do the same thing, because they have their own creativity and thoughts in their head going like, oh, but what if this happened, and what if this? It's why I think the animated DC shows like Harley Quinn and Young Justice work so fucking well. It's because you have people who love those characters and will make them react in ways that fans will go, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Like, that is totally in line with that character, but they're doing something different. Like, there's something there where your character is reacting to a new thing the way you would expect them to react.
And I think that there's definitely a barrier that's being broken when it comes to animated shows as opposed to live action shows. And there's obviously the aspect that we're not even talking about, which is the interactivity that the person who's that you're assuming is watching the show has also played the game. And so they felt that they were a part of that franchise. And so there's a little bit of them invested in this franchise. So if you lose that aspect, or you don't take advantage of that aspect, and I don't mean like in the Doom movie where you have that first person section.
Oh my god!
Carl Urban, Judge Dredd is killing Mars monsters.
This completely forgives the last hour and 20 minutes I've seen. Oh my
god, I love The Rock, but why is he the bad guy? Because he was a heel in wrestling at the time, that's why. Anyway, we'll go watch The Rundown for some fucking reason. I'm bringing that up.
Hey, I brought that up before. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
You got fucking shit.
We were talking about Castlevania.
We were, but fuck, what's his Cowbell Man?
Cowbell. Need more cowbell.
You have Cowbell Man hamming it up on screen.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. I forgot. I completely forgot Christopher Walken was a person.
Christopher Walken Cowbell.
Yeah. He's been in other movies, but let's bring up the SNL skit that was super popular.
Chris Cowbell.
What?
Chris Cowbell.
You okay? You need a nap? You need a nap, boy?
Wasn't he in a Dracula movie?
He was.
Hey, full circle. There we go.
I mean, wait, was he in a Dracula movie or was he the Sleepy Hollow guy?
He was a Sleepy Hollow guy.
I don't know if he was. Did Christopher? I'm gonna Google this real quick. Vamp for me, and that is a pun.
My time has come. Blah.
Wait, so
what is a man but a miserable pile of bones?
Christopher Walken ever play vampire? I feel like he did. That feels like an easy question. The Addiction. Is a 1995 American vampire horror film directed by Abel Ferrara and starring Lily Taylor, Christopher Walken, and Annabelle Sciorra. Okay, so I don't know if that makes him a vampire. Let's
but
look.
He was in a vampire adjacent movie.
He was in a vampire movie, but I don't know if that makes him a vampire.
He was next to a vampire, if not a vampire.
It doesn't even look like a vampire movie. This looks very weird.
Here's your homework for next week.
Yeah, I gotta watch this. I'll talk about this next week.
I bet. See, my brain with all the mush, it knew there was some sort of connection in there. Vampire Man.
There's a whole Google post where it's like, I'm trying to find a Christopher Walken vampire movie. So clearly it's famous or infamous.
Oh, that must have been me.
Yeah,
like 5 minutes ago.
Literally just 5 minutes ago. Yeah. Zach, we actually circled it back around to vampires. So Castlevania. Yeah. Good for us. We did it.
Good for us.
We did it. We're the best at this.
The cowbell best. Best cowbell.
We're gonna cut it off here, Zach, because I feel like you're sort of spiraling, and I feel like this is probably the best opportunity to just go ahead and end the podcast here. It'll be a short episode.
You hated that movie.
Hate what movie?
Spiral.
I did hate that movie. Yeah, it's in my top 10. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Zach, you okay?
No.
All right.
I'm not okay.
Well, if you want to reach out to Zach and make sure that he's okay on a daily basis, you can message us at patreon.com/lightscameandnonsense or follow us on the Twitter links down below in the description. You can also represent us, and if you enjoy the show and you want to check out our merch, we're at store.lightscameandnonsense.com. But this has been Lights Camera Nonsense, keeping you updated despite our best efforts, even if we unravel a little bit at the end.
Who's unraveling? I'm all wrapped, baby.
I'll do. Make sure to tune in every week for all the latest news, reviews, and what else, Zach?
How do you do?
I missed that. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.